Hey, this is James from Tin Robot Games, and I'm going to show you how to play Rack Up in less than 5 minutes. So let's get started. Familiarize yourself with each of the cards in the deck. Large game is generally worth 10 points. Small game is worth 5 points. The big 10-point buck is worth 100 points. Hunt tags, which are wild cards, are worth 20 points. And finally, the large elk is worth 20 points. Choose a player to shuffle and deal the cards. Start by dealing 11 cards to each player, finishing with one card turned up beside the deck. This will be the discard pile. The person immediately to their left goes first and will be the scorekeeper. Each player takes turns dealing in a clockwise order. Now, the object of this game is to be the first person to reach a cumulative score of 1,000 points. If more than one of you reach 1,000 points in a winning hand, the person with the higher score takes the win. Use the pad of paper provided to keep track of your scores. Players start their turn by picking up a card, and they end their turn by discarding onto the discard pile. Now, players can choose whether to place down sets of cards, they can add on to current sets they have, or they can keep cards in their hand. How they decide to play this game is going to be based on their particular strategy. When picking up a card on a player's turn, they can pick up from the top of the face-down deck, or pick up the entire face-up pile based on the most recent discarded card. To do this, the player must have at least 2 cards in their hand that match the face-up card on the top of the discard pile. Now, when picking up the discard pile, that top card has to be placed down immediately, and you must match it with at least 2 of the same card from your hand. It cannot include a wild card when placing down a set. The remainder of the cards from the face-up pile go into the player's hand unless they can place any of them down, either by making a new set or adding to existing sets with matching cards. Players can only pick up the discard pile by matching to cards in their hand, not that which is already on the table. Now, to make a set, you just have to match 3 or more of the same card. When placing a set down, it goes on the player's side of the table only. Players can place as many wild cards that they wish with a set, but the initial set must contain at least 2 matching cards or 2 deer cards. Players can add matching cards or wild cards to any set on the table during their turn. A round ends when a player can completely empty their hand by placing their last card with one of their sets or discarding onto the discard pile. Each player now calculates their score by adding any cards that they have placed down in front of them, and they subtract the value of the cards that are still in their hand. Card point values are indicated in the bottom right-hand corner of each card. Now, it's possible to have a negative score. Take your score calculated at the end of that round and add it to your cumulative score. Now, let's get into the deer cards. Any deer card can be paired with each other. If placed down with an initial set, they can be matched with a wild card as long as at least 2 deer are placed down with that wild card. Now, let's talk about the wild cards, the hunt tag. Every hunt needs a hunt tag, right? Well, in this game, the hunt tag acts as a wild card. By wild card, we mean you can use that in place of another card. So if you have, say, 2 of one card and you need a third card, you can use the wild card to represent that card. Wild cards have a lot of points that come with them. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the card, you'll see that they're worth 20 points. Now let's check it out. The hunt tags are wild. This card can be placed with any 2 matching cards to form a set. It can also be added to any set that is already on the table. If this card is face up on the discard pile, it may be picked up if the player has 2 hunt tags in their hand. They must show the other players that they have 2 hunt tags in their hand to qualify, but are only required to immediately play the one that they had picked up. They must play this with 2 cards from their hand. Now let's go through some special considerations. Firstly, anything you've placed on the table is locked. You can't move it. Now, you can add to any of those sets during your turn, but once you discard, your turn is over. Now, I hope you enjoy this game as much as we do. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. You can follow us on any of our social media channels under the handle Tin Robot Games, or you can go to Tin Robot Games' website, which is tinrobotgames.com, and send us our questions there. Thanks for playing. Cheers.